One of the things that holds public speakers back, really public voices of any kind back, is they're worried that their ideas are not original enough. And I am not here to say, oh, nothing is original, everything is kind of built on top of, like, no, I'm not here to make that claim. We've heard it before, where everything is a reinvention. Set that aside. I do want you to stop worrying about whether your idea for that speech or your whole platform, whether that idea is original. Stop worrying about that. Instead, we have to concern ourselves with whether or not we're willing to iterate, ask questions about, focus on, and explore that idea for months, even years, until it becomes undeniably our own. That's what we want, idea ownership. We're associated publicly with this concept. When they think of this, they think of you. So it's about ownership, not originality. Those two often go hand in hand. You'd be hard-pressed to own an idea that others have laid claim to, however famous or niche that might be. But stop worrying about whether your idea is in fact original. It probably isn't. But the game here is you will focus on that idea, exploring it deeply, differently, and in personal ways to make it ownable for yourself. I was recently coaching a speaker developing their signature speech and talking about their success systems, their marketing, their selling, the content that will emerge, signature stories, signature frameworks. How do you go from informational expert to transformational voice? When you have a lot of competence, what you need is resonance. And a part of that resonance is to produce higher impact ideas. Sometimes that means your ideas need to be more insightful. Often that means, especially when you're an expert, your ideas need to be more original. And they were agonizing over this concept. And they work with brands. They work in collaboration with a lot of brand partners. They love talking about creativity in the marketing world. And they love this definition of creativity, that creativity is connecting the seemingly unconnected. Now, you get this from like Steve Jobs. I think it's attributed to him, right? It's like if a quote about business isn't actually attached to a person, someone goes, I think that was Steve Jobs. Creativity is just connecting things, right? You're connecting the seemingly not connected. Great starting point. And then they went deeper. They said, well, if we need to connect more dots to be more creative, then first we need to collect more dots. So we need to be more aware, more intentional, more curious and open to the world around us. Collect the dots to connect the dots. And I thought that was genuinely fantastic. And then they said something that really stopped everybody in their tracks on this group call. They said, and it stopped them in this moment, frankly. They said, when I Google collect the dots to connect the dots, I see other people talking about this idea. And I saw everybody on the call kind of freeze because they're like, oh, I've experienced that when it comes to my idea. I thought it was an original, and then I started talking about it, or I searched for it, and others are talking about it. Collect the dots to connect the dots was this person's version of that moment. And he said, I see others talking about that idea. So, Jay, how do you think about originality? Should I keep going with this? Is it not original enough? And so here's what I told them and what I want you to hear clearly right now. It's all a question, not of originality, but intentionality. There are people in the world who will just fully steal ideas and rip them off and pass them off as their own. And that is not okay. They either don't care or maybe sometimes don't know that they're stolen. Those people aren't watching this video. They're not in my cohort-based program, Design My Signature Talk. They're not in my public speaking accelerator. They're not working with me one-on-one. Let's put them aside for now. They have the wrong intention. But there's another type of intention that you and I bring to this work, which is, and as you continue to use the phrase, this will happen, you are going to ask more questions about that idea. So you continue to say a phrase, and naturally others and you, hearing that a lot from you, go, well, what does that mean? Or what about this? Or who's done this well? Or why can we explain that phenomenon using this concept? As you continue to use a phrase, you will be asking more questions about it. In other words, curiosity is like an idea refinery. It's not about whether your idea is original. It's about how you explore it in ways that are more intentional. Then you find something deeper and different. Then you make it your own. So you take my line. Don't be the best, be their favorite. People quote it back to me more than anything else that I say. Don't be the best, be their favorite. It's proven IP for me. It's important to my platform. It's in the closer of my speech and frankly also in the setup. But the first time I ever wrote about it, a speaker friend I really admired told me, oh, that line makes me want to throw up in my mouth. That's what I got from somebody that I admire. And so if I just listen to him, bye-bye really important thing for my platform, both the line, but also my pursuit of understanding it, which matters more than the line. All the frameworks and stories and concepts and methods and advice that emerged from me having said a line, but then doing the intentional thing after it, which matters more, to make the line my own, which is explore it, ask questions, and create around it. All the good stuff that emerged would have been done because someone said, I don't like that idea. Now, he didn't say, it's not original. He might have also said that or thought that. He said, I don't like that. But the point isn't to come up with it in our heads right away. The point is to come up with the starting point and then commit to it, exploring it, asking questions and creating content about it and through it. And then down the road, we have something we can own, which I suppose will also feel original. I had other people when I first said that line who were like, like eyebrows went up. And it's like, okay, here's one person who has influence over me. He's not necessarily my market either. Maybe I shouldn't listen to him because even though he's judging it or we judge our lines when they emerge to us, it's not actually when you're meant to judge it. It's in the exploration that you start to make sense of it. Again, it's about the content and curiosity after the idea, not whether it pops to mind as an original. So here's the thing. You're not going to create the perfect idea in a week. You're not going to have some pithy, powerful, repeatable premise driving your speeches, driving your work, driving your storytelling. You're going to come up with something that feels good right now, but remember, it's actually just a placeholder. And it might feel okay, or it might feel like something someone else said, or maybe it's actually something someone else said, and you don't try to pass that off as your own. You bring a certain type of intentionality. You're like, okay, whether or not someone said it, maybe I know, maybe I don't, I'm going to explore it more deeply. I'm going to go make the talk and create the content. And I'm going to change the phrase, or at least figure out the phrase that might follow from that phrase, where the first gets you into my orbit and the second is what I really mean to say about that topic. Or I'll come up with a framework, or I'll come up with a method. I'm going to say this over here when I thought it was this, or I'm going to be I'm going to be deeper in my explanation, whatever. You're setting aside the stakes that like, I have to come up with an original idea right now. And you're saying, I am endlessly curious about that. I am fired up and passionate about that. And I'm going to say it as best as I can right now. And I'm going to recognize that the actual determining factor for whether or not this idea matters to me, matters to others, feels original, and is ownable by me is whether or not I'm willing to commit to the iteration. This is a pretty big, bright dividing line between people who go on to do exceptional things from stages, on camera, in their stories, in their content, and people who get stuck. People who get stuck say, I don't have anything original to say. And it's like, well, neither did they. They had to build their way there. We can choose a focus, be it an idea, a series of topics, a question. We can choose a focus in our minds. We have to build clarity. We have to build impact. We have to create something original. It doesn't just come to mind. So here's what to do. If any of this is resonating with you, use the phrase that feels right to you now and tell yourself, that's my premise. But right now, it's a lens through which I see the world. And I will go exploring this idea and write about it and talk about it over coffee, in content, on stages, on camera, everywhere. Because in the articulation, I'm going to find something sharper, deeper, more mine, more original, more ownable. And in a few months, in a year, you might have built out enough IP around it that it's undeniably yours. Or you might have something below that that's even better to own. But you'll never get there if you don't start. Stop waiting for the perfect original phrase. Start creating your clarity. It's actually not about originality. Originality only comes with the right level of intention.